The Big Short.
Didn't see it yet.
Forgot his name. Anyway, he's really a good author. And you would relate to him because he also writes about sports. Blindside was his book.
Oh, yeah, right. Now tell me about how The Big Short relates to how you want to tell your story.
People that he wrote about were odd characters, and he just nailed them. Hey, he really told their story, and then how it came together for the subprime mortgage fiasco. That
Okay, so hold that. Yeah, so hold that thought.
yes.
So it sounds like you're saying that his story about The Big Short was relevant to how you want to tell your story, which is you as the character and how it played into. And your analogy to the subprime mortgage thing would be what for your story?
In spite of my stupidity, I have potentially would solve the problem of me doing things stupidly.
Solve the problem, which would be what?
Low self-esteem, being extra sensitive to people without really understanding their intent.
This is what you got to save because that will go into the outline, right, of the first concept that you talked about, which is, your story of, your life before and after the stroke and how it changed you.
Some people will realize that it has been worth it for me. So that's it. That is the story. But the conflicts, it has to do with the fact that I can't express myself well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good thing because I'm getting into other modes of communication, especially with film. Judy and Buzz are going to start a Kickstarter campaign, finance the story Cold on Film. The early investors are going to be recognized in the credits.
The story, as I hear it now, that you want to tell is your individual autobiographical story of your life before and after the stroke and how it's changed you. But also the fact I think that's so important is that it hasn't limited your zest for being this great thinker that you've always been.
Just like the word stupid, I don't mean that literally. Or not.
Right. But yeah, so you don't mean it literally because the fact is that you still maintain your zest for thinking all the time about
Stuff.
Pretty amazing stuff.
I'm really having a good time. And that is something that I wouldn't have expected.
And which would be very valuable to share with other people. Your life story and how your life was influenced by your childhood, your experience with Identify, your challenges dealing with life, and then the stroke, and then how things changed. That could be one aim. Another aim could be, well, look what came out of that, and which would be this this sense of wanting to pursue the early dream with your new self and with the new technologies that you have at your fingertips now.
Here's a person who doesn't even know himself, and even worse, other people don't know.
Folks don't know how to relate to Buzz because he can't even speak. The story starts with a conflict. The protagonist is aphasic because of the recent stroke. More than 2 years have since passed. A new brain starts growing to replace the functionality that was lost. Brains do that when injured. Neuroplasticity on an important mission. Along the way, the lights go on in that healing brain in the form of deeper memories, brought to new consciousness in that process.